Peace, peace. How's everybody doing? We hoping, we praying everybody is well and will be better. This is your brother and friend, Ishaya Yisrael. We want to take this time out now briefly and do this video called Black People Need to Stop Being Like Trump. And what do I mean by that? Is this. We have been known recently for being online, whether it's a skit or not, to sit there and talk about this is my house, this is mine. We have been known to post about one another as Black people. Don't let nobody be around in your house no matter what. But at the same time, when people were charging Trump back from the 1970s for having Black people not being able to rent from him, which is an illegal matter, people understood why people were saying that. But now, some decades later, we are online looking like clowns saying if you can't do X, Y, and Z under quote, my rules in my house, come in at a certain time, trying to humiliate a man. I'm talking about different skits or whatever that I've seen on the internet. I am happy that I was able to move out of New York. I'm not saying everything in New York was the worst. I'm not saying everything in New Jersey is the best, but it worked for me. Now, looking at it, if we will, again, and summarizing this up. When we as Black men and Black women say something to the effect of saying, don't let nobody stay in your house no matter what their story is. When we post things and say that if a man and his lady and the children are evicted, that the man cannot stay inside of her mother's house, but she can stay. What is the difference between the slave master in the 1800s breaking up the family and showing an old Black woman in a meme saying that your man can't stay because a man is, quote, supposed to provide? I remember doing a video about that before and wanted to point out that if you have a landlord that's a slumlord and he or she is in debt to the bank, and you, the tenant, is paying the landlord, but the landlord is not paying the bank, the foreclosure may still go through. And the people who are the victims ultimately in that matter are the tenants. So there may be different variant reasons as to why an eviction may happen or so regarding a man and his family. But of course, many people, no offense intended, took heed maybe to that because it's about bashing one another, whether men bashing a woman or women bashing a man. You understand? So when we were speaking loudly, but truthfully about Black people being denied housing under the Trump matter back in the 1970s, what is the difference between that and what we promote today by saying your mother can't stay with us, your child can't stay with us, your relatives can't stay with us? There are AI videos made in the dozens, perhaps, promoting that. Now, I want to speak briefly because a lot of times people would sit there and say, well, between a man and his mom and a man and his wife and a man and his baby mama and a man and his daughter, the first person is the wife. First off, fool, the first person is you. When you say I and me, you're speaking in the first person, even in linguistics. Now, biblically, a man and his wife are one flesh. So how then can it ever be questioned if it is first as his mother, his baby's mother, or his daughter, or his son, when in actuality, the man and the woman who are a couple are one flesh? I spoke about this in the last video I did. The reason why you see that is because while people quote talk about the Bible, they are not understanding about bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. They are saying the wife is over the mother, even though mother is elder. In many cases, if you're already married, generally you're over the age of 20, which in many cases makes your parent an elder in most cases. So mother and father are elders. And Leviticus talks about honoring the elders. So when people sit there and say about they are not following what the Bible and the scripture says about honoring and listening to your wife, or so. The Bible doesn't say honoring your wife. It says honor your father and your mother. That's one thing, to be quite candid with that. What many men and women seem to not know in the Black community, when you marry somebody, you marry into that person's family. There's about to be, in my particular family, a big wedding coming up, not to sit there and get too personal and so forth and so on. You understand? But when a man marries a woman and when a woman marries a man, you marry into that family. So with that being the case, and with that being said, we have to sit back and ask, how can anybody question who comes first in a man's life? Is the wife in competition with the baby's mother? Is the wife in competition with the man's mother? Let some of these AI videos that you see sprung all over the place, yeah. Oh, baby, my mom got to stay. It's either me or your mother. And people are actually going back and forth online in the Black community debating it, as if we're supposed to kick our elders into nursery homes, which is something I remember in the 1980s we were told not to do as children. What happened to the honor of the parents? That your days may be long upon the land that the Lord thy God giveth you. Your days, not per se their days, but your days. See, you're cutting yourself short thinking that you're ruling something, and that's not good. We are the only people that take pleasure in not helping one another, not being there for one another. Do you know that? When you find brothers and sisters, mainly no disrespect intended, I understand sisters, boundaries. You got to have boundaries. Trump had his boundaries, no niggas allowed, essentially. That was one of his boundaries, and you can sit there and see inside of what's going on with his cabinet and everybody else that he sit there and elects. So have we adopted that kind of mindset? Yeah, in many cases. Yes, we have in many cases. And it's not good. It's not productive. You understand? I watched a video some time ago, and we talking about elders, right? Trump walked in front of the Queen of England when they were walking side by side. And with maybe her small frame and his big self, goofy looking self. You actually disrespected the Queen of England. And England is the parent to America, if you know its history, from the European side for the colonizers matter. You disrespected what I was trying to tell some of my family members. Oh, he's a Republican and all the Republicans always stand together. When he was talking about Hank Pence, Pence is a Republican. He don't respect even his white brothers. Advertising a matter with the guy, I believe his name was Robert Mueller, saying, I'm glad that he's dead because he investigated me. If your stuff is clean and you're being investigated, you ain't got really much to hide. Maybe you don't want people to know your social. Okay, understood. But see, when you dirty, black man, woman, and child, like Trump is dirty, then you don't want people to investigate. You tell children to stay in, quote, a child's place. You understand? You tell people all the time, mind your business. You're getting too close to it, somebody's going to fall in the wrong hands. You know what you do, what you intend on doing. That is why that's the case. You think that dude really cares about the country? He sat there and ran so he couldn't be incarcerated for the felonies that he was charged with. Said you wasn't going to start a war, you started a war. And black people who think that, well, Trump ain't really, quote, that bad, his presidential mentality, who he honors, is Andrew Jackson, who went against the orders of the Supreme Court, because you don't understand rank and file. Trump went against the orders of the Supreme Court because you don't understand rank and file. Let you, black man, woman, and child, go against the Supreme Court. See what happens. When Trump sat there and said that black men and him kind of have like a comparison because black men know what it is to be charged as a criminal, all black people should have sat there and turned their back upon him. Be you black American, black West Indian, black Hispanic, or so on, because that's ultimate disrespect. You understand? So in closing this out, family, yes, it's an insult. To us as a people to uphold not getting along one with another instead of, quote, trying to find a way to fix the matter, how to get closer to one another, how to amend the situation. Stop telling the youth you're just a child. I did a presentation on that not too long ago, because you never know who you're talking to. You never know who you're minimalizing. And I mean no disrespect. I don't know the full story of that particular family. But when Shaq talks about or didn't talk about or doesn't uphold his dad as much because of some of the things that his biological father and him may have not gone through or went through. Again, you never know that little child might be. So like Ed O.G. from the Bulldogs, the rap group said, don't front on your child when it's your own, because if you run now, you regret it when it's grown. So black men who sit there and black women who sit there and want to appease another black man or woman by telling your children, no, you can't stay because mommy and daddy or mommy or daddy's in a new relationship, you never know how that child is going to sit there and become. And if you got to sit there and get rid of your child, your son or your daughter one way or the other to appease the spouse, then you wicked. And any said spouse that has a problem with you being closer to your son or daughter is wicked. I know people who experience that. I ain't going to try to get too personal, but I could pull up the screenshots. Real talk. Maura Yeshaya is saying it, real talk. I could pull up the screenshots about people trying to bash me for being closer to my daughter. I'd rather that than no disrespect with the guy Umar Johnson went through when his daughter put him on blast. I'd rather a woman's family or an ex family sit there and be upset over my child being upset. So be it. Real talk, being in 100 in that particular matter. You understand? You don't know how much time you may have left to try to fix, say, a situation. So Trump don't claim all his kids and want to talk about dating his daughter, and his daughter has an amazing body and all of that. And black people sitting up there saying, after it was known that he was a criminal for barring black people in housing, when we get something of our own, we feel that we should not have our children, our parents, over for X, Y, and Z time. We got to get it together and get it righteous, man. You understand? Peace.